All right, Eric Bibb playing live today here in Studio V at WNCW. Going down the road, feeling bad. And Cephas and Wiggins, you pulled that version from. Is that
Yeah,
cool?
I listened to John's version of that and kind of learned it from there. I'd heard it long time ago by different people, but it was John's version that made me want to play that song. Yeah.
That song is so old. It's been done by so many people, so
Mm.
many different styles across
Mm.
decades.
Yeah.
What's the challenge for you to take a song? I know that song and respect it, but make it yours.
Well, it often takes a version by somebody who I feel quite close to in one way or another. John was a friend, so that was part of it, but also his playing style for that song was similar to my way of finger picking, and I thought, oh, I could really get that song together pretty quickly without too much ado and make it my own over time.
Yeah. Sometimes that song has like a maybe not angry, but a very defiant.
Hmm.
It's kind of a fish shape, but you make it real kind of sweet.
Oh, that's nice to hear. I'm sure the guy who originally started singing that song was really feeling a lot worse than I've ever felt. I never lived off cornbread and peas, but you know, you find a way to make your own take on a song real enough so that a storyteller has to find a way to take on different personas in the course of learning and performing a song, and there's usually some part of your experience that matches up, if not totally. There's at least a corner that's that fits. Mm.
Well, I think it's wonderful that a song like that still resonates.
Mm.
I don't know how many decades old that song is, but
That's the funny thing. We're singing songs from maybe 100 years ago, still even older, and in this age of iPhones and everything else, those are songs that still, for some reason, touch a chord in us. And I'm not really sure what that's all about. I just think that songs that are older, that have been sung for generations, have a power that is incomparable. And for some reason, we hold on to that history. We hold on to that connection to our past. That's probably part of it. It makes us feel connected to our ancestors. And I think everyone would agree that there's something good about doing that.
yeah, absolutely. Well, along those lines, your latest CD is a tribute to Leadbelly, another legend of kind of that seam you like between folk and blues, right?
Yeah, that whole discussion of what is folk, what is blues, I've gotten to the point where, for me, it's all essentially music from the people, which we call folk music, and whether it's so-called blues or old time or ragtime or hokum or whatever. I think those names are interesting for people who write books about music, but frankly, I think it's all in one big gumbo.
Yeah, absolutely. That's American music, right?
Indeed. Not only American music, it's actually something that's translated into something highly universal, and you find people all over the world singing old American songs, and there's a reason why those songs reach out to people across cultural.
Well, I know you've done really well in Europe over the years, right?
Yeah.
What is it that makes these old American root songs translate to some guy in Germany? You know?
Well, first of all, Europeans have had a fascination and a love of American folk music for a long time, starting with the early pioneers of jazz who made their ways over to Europe. I think that Americans, while they appreciate their own music, probably for a lot of complex historical and social reasons, have perhaps undervalued it. I'll go there. Europeans, with their distance and their passion for the exotic, from further places further away, tend to archive this music, tend to appreciate and celebrate the artists who presented it through the years in a way that's, I think, more fitting. These artists and these pioneers deserve that kind of adoration. I think their contribution to world culture merits all of that passionate obsession.
It's interesting how something that's like low culture and high culture and kind of stuff, like what would be like a low culture music form here becomes the opposite over there. If you know what I mean?
Very interesting. I was going to say I didn't want to get into too deep a discussion here on public radio while we have limited time, but America's history certainly has a lot to do with, and I mean the dark side of the history, no pun intended, has a lot to do with the place in our collective minds that this folk music, this rural, particularly African American folk music, has in our whole pantheon. But all of that is changing. I'm finding with the information age, taking over, we are becoming more aware of who we are and where we've been, and how valuable our own appreciation of our history is. Yeah.
Well said. Eric Bibb, who's playing live with us today and sharing some insights and some music, and he's playing tonight at the Foundation at Thermal Community College. What time does the show start? We got 7:30.
Yeah.
So, cool, man.
I'll be there.
Yeah, for sure. That's fascinating stuff to talk about. Let's get another song and we can do some more. What's your next tune?